Welcome to the NEC big game for round 2 of the Winfield Cup between Parramatta and St George. And today's match comes from the magnificent new Parramatta Stadium as the Eels come home and they begin the 1986 Premiership before a capacity crowd of over 30,000. Both grandstands located on the eastern and western sides, almost overflowing, and on the hill areas behind the goalposts, it's standing room only. When we reflect back to the last competition game played here at the old Cumberland Oval in 1981, it was a tough encounter between Parramatta and Manly that ended in a 20-all draw. After that game, Cumberland lay idle and the Eels went to Belmore to share with Canterbury. There's been some great tradition come out of Cumberland, many great players and many great matches. So it gladdened the hearts of many when construction finally began on a new Parramatta Stadium. A new playing arena in the west that'll be utilised by many sports, and especially for the Parramatta League fans, it's right on their doorstep. Both the federal and state departments of sport and the Sydney Cricket Ground Trust have been instrumental in the concept, planning and development of the stadium, and on the 5th of March this year, Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II attended and in fact carried out the official opening.
And I have much pleasure in declaring the Parramatta Stadium is open.
Tremendous, yes, Graham. It's a great day for the Parramatta Football Club and all the marvel supporters we've had over the years that have followed us when it was Cumberland Oval, and I certainly I hope they get as much enjoyment out of today as what we are.
Well, it's probably a dream come true for the players and all those supporters. I think you probably remember the old Cumberland Oval. This is a bit of a change. There's probably something the area has wanted for a while, and now it's a great thing for the players and all those people who stuck by the club.
Tremendous memories. I had a wonderful rapport with the crowd here, and I loved every minute of it. I just like to be getting out there again now.
A fabulous crowd. We did lose about 15% of our crowd from going to Belmore, but it seems as though we've got more than 15% of them back.
I'd like to be running out there.
Be terrific. I'd really love to be going out there, but I wouldn't like to have to stop out there too long.
There weren't all that many fond memories, mate, until in the St George days, until I came over here, and of course I had one season here at Cumberland, and it was fabulous.
I never worried too much about running out onto Cumberland. I knew that there was a few crazy people around, but on the whole, the Parramatta supporters were pretty good. And a great new stadium. Oh, it's a fabulous complex, Graham. For a change, the fans have got the facility now, opposed to some of the radio boxes up there, but all in all, it's a great complex. The only trouble is it's 20 years too late. We should have had this out in the west some time ago.
Everyone who's here today are distinguished people, and I thank you very sincerely, first of all, for the round of applause. As John Brown said, we don't get it that often. When I was fortunate enough, ladies and gentlemen, to be selected as the Minister for Sport, I thought, well, this is an opportunity for me to be able to put something back into sport that's been so good to me. And the Parramatta problem was a problem, and when I took the compromise proposal to Cabinet, with the support of the Premier and my parliamentary colleagues, along with the pressure that came from Barry Wild and all the people out here particularly, I was so delighted when they agreed to it, but then I had to find $15 million. $7.5 million from the state, and a sports-loving federal member and a Minister for Sport, Johnny Brown. When I said, John, what are we going to do? He said, you've got $7.5 million from me, and you, ladies and gentlemen, today have a stadium.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess for all of you, and particularly for me, today is the fulfilment of a dream. For too long we sat in the dust and the mud at the old Cumberland Oval. And today's a milestone in Australia. Today the majority won against that very vocal minority that put up all sorts of spurious reasons.
I think today can be summed up in the words of those Parramatta supporters with whom I spoke earlier, and who all said it's a great day. I'm sure you'll agree with me when I endorse those sentiments.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Mike Cleary, John Brown. I want to thank the Mayor, Paul Elliott and Barry Wilde. If it hadn't have been for the assistance of those gentlemen, this project would have never been completed.
And today is the day to be celebrated for the first sporting event ever to be played at Parramatta Stadium. And we thank the sponsors of the entertainment, Radio 2WS, the New South Wales Department of Sport and Recreation, and the New South Wales Rugby League.
Led by their captain, Ray Price, the Warhorse. Welcome home, Parramatta!
There's the Parramatta team. Taylor Hunt-Jackson, Laurie Grove Kenny, Sterling Price Sharp, Mayers in 39, Jared Mosley and Lee Beater, coached by John Money.
The St George Dragons, led by Captain Craig Young.
Yes, Big Craig takes the Dragons down the chute. Must be very hard for St George today. Dragons team lineup: Burgess, Kincella, O'Connor, Johns, Morris, Linane, Haddock, Wynn, Glanville, Selby, Young, Guida, Walsh. 4 changes to the team slaughtered by the Rabbitohs last Friday week, and they're coached, of course, by Roy Masters. But as I said, a very hard day for them to come down here amidst all the blue and gold. Referee for the match, Kevin Roberts. So after the boiled lollies comes the old gold chocolate. As St George start the first sporting event on Parramatta Stadium, and Peter Sterling is the man tackled just inside his own 22-way line. Mosley out to that point. And now Jerd. Sterling, his kick is not going to find touch, but in fact Burgess takes it back. A ring of defence around him, and the first man up there was young Jackson, playing in the number 3 jumper. Mark Glanville, a youngster from the town of Wagga, one of 4 players Masters has called into the team. Graham Wynn tackle just short of halfway, and time out. Ray Price is injured. Now Roberts is going to penalise Graham Wynn for raking out with his foot. Did you see it there? It got Price on the forehead. So an unhappy start for Graham Wynn. The NEC replay of it, see him kicking out with the foot. Now Sterling will take the line kicks again. It was an area on Wednesday night that we found them a little bit short in, Bill, their line kicks. In fact, their kicking game generally.
Yes, it was. As a matter of fact, I think Parramatta were fairly rusty on Wednesday night, and that game in the National Panasonic Cup will do them a lot of good. They'll come out a much better side the day for it.
I expect to see them play a more disciplined, settled brand of football. They tried to put too much on too soon. Lee Beater coughing the ball up. Tackler was young Chris Guida. There's 13, Lee Beater. He is a giant of a man. Guida is a jockey-sized hooker. There he is. He was told by doctors a couple of years ago to give the game away, but he took that head-on tackle on Lee Beater as though it didn't really care. There's the lower grades for you. A 10-all draw. The first match back here at the park. And, of course, they ended with a 20-all draw. 15-12, the reserves to Parramatta. Kenny across the ground, throws the dummy to Laurie and then takes the defence. Here's Laurie going inside the 22 line. Parramatta just 18 metres out from the St George line. Here's Lebeater making sure of it that time. Selby in 10, making the tackle with Linane. Sterling, short ball for Taylor, cut out pass for Mears. Still the pressure firmly on the Saints. Steve Sharp. Chris Walsh making the tackle, secure. Sterling, a grubber kick, is danger for St George. Oh, Steve Morris needed all of his one up. There's the replay of just how close Price came to getting his hands onto it, but Morris was equal to the task. Let's take you to the sidelines. Graham Hughes with the Minister for Sport, Michael Cleary.
Michael, it's been a long time coming, but it's a fabulous new stadium.
Yes, it's been a marvellous opening, and thanks to Channel 10 and also my department who combined to put on a spectacular opening. It's a great achievement and I'm delighted.
And of course, the stadium's open not just to rugby league.
No, there'll be soccer and rugby will also be played here, but this year is a big year for the state government because we're going to either start or complete $102 million worth of work. We've got the leasing for the Aquatic Centre tender going up in July, which is $26 million. We'll have Concord Oval next Saturday with the 7-a-side, that's $4.8 million. You've got the sports grounds starting on the 24th of April, that's $55 million. So it's going to be a great year for sport. And I tell you, without the assistance of John Brown and the cooperation of the Premier, I couldn't have done it.
Well, congratulations to all concerned. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much indeed for the opportunity.
Penalty to Parramatta, a differential from the scrum. So Sterling finds touch about 8 metres inside the quarter. Roy Masters keeping a keen eye on proceedings. Ray Price 15 metres out. Mears. Remarkable recovery by this young man. Mosley, little dummy from dummy half, and then another gain of a couple of metres. Sterling, Price running onto a Sterling pass. He's within a couple of metres. That's the fourth tackle. Here's Sterling. Back it goes for Sharp. Steve Sharp scores the first try in first grade. They just kept piling on the pressure. No frills football. Simple stuff. And St George eventually cracked. Here it is on the NEC replay as Sterling was able to take the tackle and then he gave it to Sharp. It was fairly simple stuff, as I said. Here's Bill Anderson.
Sterling timed this pass particularly well. He just dummied slightly out wide. That brought the defence up, the number 6. He then held the pass back. Sharp ran onto it. He was in a gap. He stretched out and planted it down for the opening try at Parramatta Stadium.
So there it is again, the third replay for you. Sterling played the big part and Steve Sharp picks up the try. Neil Hunt takes the kick, finds the extras, and so Parramatta leads St George by 6 points to 0. Parramatta coming up with a scrum. Kenny going across, looking for his runners. That's still play on, I'd say. Jackson away to Hunt. Kinchella chases Hunt. He's got the ball back for Taylor. Taylor comes to Burgess. Good fullback tackle by Glenn Burgess. It had to be a smother tackle. Price on the run around. 6 metres out from the St George line. Pressure again for the red and whites. They need long ball across to the left. Sharp turns it inside. That's forward. Scrum will go down about 12 metres out from the St George line. Recalled for another serve, and it looks like a Parramatta penalty. No, it's a St George penalty. He's penalised Mosley for going down in the scrum. Mosley in turn was suggesting that Guida was underneath him. So Steve Linnane takes the line finder. Massive crowd here. They expected 30,000. I think they've got every one of them. Mark Glanville to play it, former Australian schoolboy, just 19. Guida, tackled by his opposite number, Mosley. This is Selby, played with Illawarra, product of James Cook High School. This is Haddock. Around for Burgess to cross the halfway. Still going to the 32. Oh, O'Connor's put it down. A let off for Parramatta. That was simply a case of O'Connor running 22 metres to score. See it again. This is the NEC replay. Burgess found himself in open space, and then O'Connor couldn't take it. I think he was entitled to. This is Jackson. Laurie, Growth. He was in brilliant form on Wednesday, Growth, in the National Panasonic. Here's the clearing kick for Sterling. And he's kicked it straight to Burgess. Not a good kick by Sterling, but the chase was fairly good from his supports. Haddock. Morris has folded around from the right wing. He's working on the left of the ground in front of the Cronin stand. Young. 6-0 Parramatta. We're 20 minutes into the first half. Won by the Eels. Out to Taylor coming in from full back. Linnane has been required to do a lot of defence. Price. A little get out from dummy half, and a penalty goes to Parramatta inside the 5 against St George. So Sterling showing that, well, I don't know whether it was Sterling's decision, but Neil Hunter said no, not me. And that's a terrible tragedy for any team to knock back a chance for 2 points from right in front, 38 metres out.
With the wind.
With the wind. That's a problem. Jerd. Could it be? We'll see Michael Eden in the Eels side shortly.
Well, there's no doubt the Eels are going to miss Mick Cronin in more ways than one, and one of the most noticeable things that he's done for them in the past is kick some great pressure goals.
Price to Taylor. Taylor's very close to the line. A few metres out, in fact. Mears decides he'll have a go. Young hangs on around the legs. Haddock was up the top with Glanville. Now to Sterling, dummies, dances away from a would-be tackle. That of Graham Wynn. 5 tackles gone. To the blind, Mears is going to put a kick across the park, and O'Connor is intercepted.
Growth
it's a race
chasing
between O'Connor and Growth. I don't know whether Growth's got the pace. He's wearing him down. He's not going to get him. Yes, but too late. He left it 1 metre too late. Well, what a sensational moment in the game. Brett Kenny in the back play is really sounding off on Paul Mears, but O'Connor was off and running, and I must admit I thought, well, that's just simply a case of they won't catch this fellow, but Growth showing amazing speed. He went for him at the 10-metre line. He got dragged 5 metres, and O'Connor puts it down for a fair try.
Well, we could see Mears put across the grubber kick, but unfortunately it went straight into the hands of Michael O'Connor, and he was on the fly. Growth set sail. He looked like he'd aimed to pick him off about 15 metres out. He got there, but found himself just a fraction behind. He then left the ground, got to O'Connor, but bang! O'Connor got it down.
Yes, Michael O'Connor, the try scorer, attempting to convert his own try. To put it simply, the biggest problem with the Mayor's kick was that it went in front of St George instead of getting it in behind them. Oh, there were some very unhappy Parramatta players talking to Paul Mears. Here's O'Connor's kick. No worries for him either. 6 points all. The NEC big game between the Eels and the Dragons. Restart by Hunt. This is Burgess. Oh! An enormous clash of bodies there. Growth and Jerd went in to take the much smaller Burgess, and boy, the contact was explosive. Haddock, Young. Well, that'll give St George a tremendous kick. That's 6 points, Graham. As you pointed out, the breeze is probably worth about 8, and at the moment there's only 15 minutes of the first half to go, and they're all square.
Well, it certainly is, Ray. I think that what we've got to do is, with the advent of this new rule concerning the bomb situation, teams who try this tactical cross-kicking, well, there's got to be some communication between the captains and their fullbacks. Somebody's got to stay back with these cross-kicks, because as we just saw, that sort of thing with Michael O'Connor is going to happen a hell of a lot in 1986.
Sharp, Sterling, Kenny trying to work his way through. He's about 15 metres on his own side of the halfway. Here's Jackson. Tremendous display before the first grade started today as Price puts it down. Well, this is very much a case of even the champions can make mistakes. Sun peeping through. Parramatta winning the scrum. Sterling takes off from the base of the scrum, and they'll keep going very quickly. Here they are. They've got a roll on now. Sharp. Oh, that's bad defence by the Saints. Laurie, he's got players all over the place. Here's big Growth with it, and Growth tackled by Morris. What a contest. What a contest between these two great wingers, as we find Kenny spearing it out to Mares. Mares running like a young man inspired by a blunder that he's probably still trying to get out of his mind. Sterling stops, props, and good driving tackle by Big Walsh. Chris Walsh got the shoulder right under Sterling's midriff and drove him. Here's Leabeater tripping over the feet of Mosley. And again Walsh makes the tackle. 5 gone for the Eels. Sterling gets the ball. He decides to pass to Mares, to Kenny. He's got the ball away to Neil Hunt. And Hunt scores for the Eels. Well, Neil Hunt is the try scorer, but there was some beautiful work inside from this little fellow Sterling, then Mares, then Kenny. And I'm pretty happy that Paul Mares played a very important part in it, because that blunder earlier on would have been worrying him no end. Here's the second of the NEC replays.
Well, this try started with a beautiful pass from Sterling, got it onto Mares. I thought that Kenny here could have stepped and gone on with it himself, but he was very unselfish. He realised that Hunt was marked outside, and Hunt crossed around after improving position to score the 4 points.
Hunt, he's missed that too badly. So the score remains unchanged at 10 points to 6 in favour of Parramatta. Mares. Got the hip into, I think, Graham Wynn.
Dear.
And then Young came over the top. Mosley not impressed. Mares was a sitting duck, and Young went in with what looked like a swinging arm, but we'll see it again on this replay. Let's have a look at it. I don't think there was... Oh, well, there's the problem further on into the encounter. The allegation of knees. So Sterling finds the line. 10-6 Parramatta leading. And if they had a goal kicker, but I don't suppose there's any sense in saying that anymore. They probably should have been leading by 14-6. Here's Taylor. He's put it down. So quite a bit of dropsy still in the Parramatta game. This was just a case of the impact of the tackle having very much the desired effect. Saints winning the scrum. Oh, wind came out of the scrum, and really all Graham did was to get in the road, and now Parramatta comes up with the ball. That'll go down as a St George scrum win, but really they didn't have any advantage from it. Not even one tackle. Here's Mosley. Parramatta 23 metres out. 8 minutes to go, right in the centre of the park. And Leabeater's put it over. Selby's got the ball. Young. Seem to be using a lot of personnel, Parramatta, to get the ball from point A to point B. It's as if they're using a couple of extra passes that aren't necessary. Are you seeing it that way, Graham?
Well, Ray, I think early in the year we always see a lot of drop ball, and I think it's probably a little bit of both. What Billy was saying, the players were certainly keen, the great atmosphere here at the new stadium today, trying to force the ball a lot. But I think because of the enormous amount of sweat, players are just starting to hit those passes too hard, and the ball's just shining off those jumpers.
Through to O'Connor. He puts it straight up in the air. I'm pretty sure he never meant it to do that.
Hasn't their kicking game been terrible? Even though they're running into a strong breeze, the St George kicking game has been right off.
Oh! Steve Morris had to rush back for that. This is Burgess. Young. Selby. Back inside. Johns can't pick it up, and I think Jerd's got it, has he? No. Lanane has for St George.
There wouldn't have been one St George player with his eye on the ball then when it was passed. It wasn't a good pass, but you've got to expect to get the ball in any situation in first grade rugby league.
13 times Parramatta's put it down. Saints 11. There's a loose arm or two in this scrum.
Parramatta penalty.
Penalty to Parramatta. There it is, the indication from Roberts. Loose arm against Chris Guida.
By the way, Michael Mosley did join him in the pact when he saw what was happening.
Sterling's line kick is a good one. Talk about a huge amount of work on this man's shoulders, Sterling. Jerd, Kenny, a dummy, and he's gone for the gap. 8 metres out from the St George line. Sterling, there's a chance on here. Jerd, he'll score, the big man. Stan Jerd scores another try. What a memorable week for this likeable front row forward. A try Wednesday, and he's backed it up today. Here's the NEC replay. Sterling was the man. If you're looking for your man of the match thus far, look no further than the Parramatta 7. And Jerd picks up another try, his second for the year.
Once again, it was the magnificent timing of Peter Sterling. Look at him hold this pass back. He shaped to throw it there. That caused the defence to hesitate. Jerd came onto it. Morris stayed out on growth as he had to. And over went Jerd for another Parramatta try.
So the score finally reaches 14-6 in favour of the Eels. Front rower Stan Jerd and Steve Sharp next to him. They've each scored a try. The other was scored by Neil Hunt, the man who's about to take this kick. Neil Hunt's nickname is Guilty, and I guess he's feeling all of that with his goal-kicking performance so far as he misses again. 14-6 in favour of the Eels. Well, Graham Hughes said to you from the sidelines he was putting an 8 or 10 point value on the breeze, and Parramatta have finally reached that lead of 8 points. So as far as Graham's assessment is concerned, this match is a long way from over. Here's Sterling. rated, of course, Peter Sterling in England in particular as the best player per pound in the world of rugby league. I think that thought is probably shared by a lot of other people here on home soil as Lee Beater plays it on the halfway. This is Mares. Always looking to unload, aren't they? Jerd ran onto a pretty good tackle from Jeff Selby. Got underneath him and drove. Mosley's kick charge down. Kenny kicks ahead. Burgess recovers. Chased by Kenny. Misses him. And Mares is the man who makes the tackle. Midway 22 halfway. St George is into the ground. Haddock beating Jerd. Mares has got him. Kinsella. Big and strong Dennis Kinsella. Reminds me very much of Eric Groth in his way of beating a man. He likes to go straight over the top of them. Young Glanville coming in for a fairly hefty reception. And loose ball there. Played by Guida. Haddock pulled down by...
That's great marker play.
It was from Taylor, wasn't it? Here's Selby. They're low and high with Mosley underneath, Lee Beater at the top. Brett Kenny is getting some attention as Steve Morris again swings from the right to the left. Brett picked up a knock in a part of the anatomy that he'd be feeling quite a bit of pain from. This is Haddock across now for Wynn. Oh, gee, that was a good opportunity to let it float. Well, he's got him for passing from the ground. It's the same story as you saw earlier from a Parramatta play. 2 minutes of time remaining. Sterling finding the line. Jerd. That's Lee Beater. Mosley coming back to the blind. Now Sterling's in position to put up a bomb here. There it goes. Touched in flight by St George. A chance for Parramatta. It's a try! So, see it again. Coming off the boot of Peter Sterling, Roberts indicated touched in flight by the Saints, and then Hunt comes down with 4 points for the Eels. Now Hunt from 20 metres out, almost on that touch line on the eastern side. 1 out of 4. Low and long, but certainly never looking as though it was going to get the money, and there's the half-time sign. 18 points to 6 in favour of Parramatta with 4 tries to 1. Jarvis has been brought on to replace Mark Glanville. Graham Atkins is out there taking the place of Mark Laurie. It's the kick by Hunt going down to get us underway to Graham Wynn. And Lee Beater, Price and Jerd combined to bring the big St George lock to ground. I've got news for you. Here's the top tacklers. Mosley 17 for Parramatta, Walsh 19 for St George, and Eric Groth is playing in the centres. Here's Walsh now. Guida. Lanane. Oh, beautifully taken by Taylor. tremendously difficult ball to take, but he did it so well. Here's Growth coming out from dummy half. Mosley. Mears. And the ball taken from Mears, and the referee has ruled lost in the tackle. So this scrum just on the St George side of halfway. Lane. Sterling the tackler. Again he makes the tackle. Win. Well, Sterling made 3 in a row. Price got in for another tackle there as the ball goes across. And Burgess has put it down for Jerd to pick it up. Well, there's been some unaccountable, almost unforgivable handling mistakes by both sides. Here's Mears. Here's the handling errors. 13 to Parramatta, 11 to St George. Mosley. Just working for the play that they'll be going all out on. Here's the 5th now, Sterling. Mears. Well, there's no doubt about that. Mears was having a look where Kinchella was. And the scrum is to go down, or it's a turnover, I beg your pardon. There's the mistake on the NEC replay. Mind you, I've got to say, in fairness to some of the players who've put the ball down, they've been throwing passes when they were in more pressure. They're in a bigger pressure situation than the player with the football. Here's Wynn. Taking play just into Parramatta's territory. Ray Price getting some attention.
Well, St George aren't combining very well, but at least they've got the ball going forward, even if it is one off the ruck stuff.
Shelby, Young, well taken by Graham Wynn. Wynn, he's got 22 metres, 10 metres to go, and he got a pass over to Kinchella that went forward. It was a good tackle by, I believe, Peter Sterling that forced Wynn to pass. That was really where it all started, with Guida throwing a flick pass, and then from this play, Young got quick ball away to Wynn. Now watch this little blonde-headed fellow. Is it Sterling? Yes, it is Sterling, who came across, made the tackle. The ball was passed forward, and here's Parramatta as we come back live to the action from the scrum. With Sterling playing it, Price goes outside the 32 towards the centre of the ground. That's Sharp. Jackson. I think Brian Jackson will be the first to testify that there's a big leap from the minor grades to first grade. But at the moment, he's handling it all right. Sterling. Well, Hunt was a mile in front of him, so let's keep our eyes on Hunt. As Kinchella goes back, picks up the ball. Hunt stays outside the 5. Kinchella gets around him. Burgess takes it down to the 22, and Jackson makes the tackle.
St George have got to start to combine, but I don't know that little combination between the winger and the fullback was in the ideal situation, 5 metres out from your own line. They're not putting together more than 2 passes, St George. It's just as if they're... Look at that. It's almost as if they're strangers. Walsh wasn't expecting that pass, and Maloney hit him in the face with it.
Mears will play the ball. 10 metres into St George's area. I meant to mention to you earlier in the match that Paul Mears was sent out in jumper number 10, not 39. Though it might have thrown us out for a second, it certainly is a move that I applauded. And I'm sure you would too. Player going out there for his first match on the stadium. Play by Price. They stack this blind side, something that they do very well. This is Kenny, who ran into a solid tackle from Selby. And there's an appeal for the ball being lost by Kenny. Now Sterling. And that kick has come off the outside edge of his boot and gone in touching goal, so it'll come out to the 22 for a tap to restart. Guider. Young. Haddock on a run around. Wynn goes straight, but Jackson makes the tackle. Let's take it to the sidelines. Here's Graham Hughes with League General Manager John Quayle as St George bumble into another error.
John, a real showpiece for Rugby League.
Yes, Graham, I think everyone involved in Rugby League should be very proud of the stadium. I think we've seen today the atmosphere that it creates for the players, and I think on all the big matches it'll be something that is going to be great.
You've already spoken about in the press, it's also opened up the avenue for Monday Night Football.
Oh yes, this year we hope to use 4 venues, and looking at this one, I'm quite sure that a lot of people will want to play here. Not only the clubs want to play here, but I'm quite sure all the spectators will want to come here, and I think that's very important.
All right, thanks, Chantal.
John Quayle, as Neil Hunt indicates that he'll take this kick 30 metres out right in front.
It should be a fairly simple kick for an accomplished goal kicker, but I'm sure Neil doesn't class himself as that, and I don't know if he'd really like to be having this shot.
Well, there's the man that, you know, is probably the most accomplished goal kicker left in the club, Michael Eden. Hunt, he's got this one. And the crowd goes up as one. 20 points to 6 in favour of the Eels. Sterling, dumping, and then he splits them. Hunt's coming up with him. Haddock gives chase. Good chase by Haddock.
But that was all too easy. Peter Sterling simply dummied and strolled through that gap.
Long ball to Kenny from Mosley. Kenny up towards the 22 line. Jackson's the dummy half. Back to Mosley. Kinchella and Burgess. Burgess is going to be tackled in goal. It's a line drop out to restart. Burgess is limping following this tackle by the Parramatta players Sharp and Mosley. He's had an uncomfortable day, Glenn Burgess. Graham Wynn's kick is a giant of a drop kick, all of 60 metres. Taylor. Price, Growth.
Roy Masters simply can't persist with the players that he's got on the field. I know he made changes after last week's big loss to South, but he's got to get some attack on just to find out whether he can use it for the rest of this season, because he can't win with what he's got.
Lee Beater. Brian Johnston in 16 coming on. This is Sharp. Oh, beautifully taken by Steve Linane. Sterling was setting up the little grubber kick. Kinchella's come off. Brian Johnston has gone on. Brian is a state player. Stabbing kick by Sterling, and Linane took it in slips. Well, Roy Masters said after last Friday week's match against South that he thought some of his players just didn't realise that the season had started. I can't imagine that they'd be in the same frame of mind today. This is Mosley who comes up with the ball. There didn't seem to be any pressure on Jarvis there. He just simply didn't take it. Inexplicable stuff. Mosley crunched by Graham Wynn. Johns looks to have gone to the wing. Yes, Brian Johnston is playing in the centres and Johns to the flank. 5 gone for the Eels. Sterling puts up a bomb. Burgess can take this. He's going to try and run it. And he's grounded in goal.
That's a great tackle by Peter Taylor. Paul Taylor. Tremendous
example. Glenn Burgess right there could have held his ground, walked out to the 22 and taken a tap. Instead of that, he's tried to beat the man, and now they've got a line dropout. Line dropout from Wynn. He's getting plenty of practice at that. Here's Taylor. He's lost it. Good tackle, Perry Haddock. And St George had the chance. It's gone backwards. Now knocked on, says the referee. Heavens above. Handling errors second half. 10 for the Saints, 4 for the Eels. Disgraceful handling, putting mistakes made by the Dragons in their second stanza. Things that have had no pressure on them.
St George players obviously don't realise that they are a big, strong team, and if they could simply hold the ball, they would wear the opposition down.
Penalty, Parramatta. It's all one-way traffic. Three-quarters of the game gone at the 20-minute marker, second half. There's the scrums and penalty information. 8-3 the scrums to the Eels, 11-5 the penalties to them. I don't know that that was part of the script.
Rick Growth is really hot to trot out here. He might be waiting for a little kick.
Price and Lee beat her. So Roberts will call it back for the knock-on. He waited to see if St George got an advantage from it. They didn't. Penalty to Saints. That's against Price for getting out of the scrum prior to the ball. It's not allowed to have any more than 7 backs. To explain it a bit more fully for our viewers, well, right around the world these days, we're going to a vast audience, but once that lock breaks from the scrum before the ball, well, he's given them more than 7 backs, and that's the penalty. Differential, of course. Young. Well, that's Selby. Parramatta's replacements on the sidelines. Linane. Here's O'Connor. Oh, beautiful tackle by Price. Now it's Haddock. Look at the little fella go. And Growth came from behind to put him down. Young. Linane. Down she goes again. Sharp. This is Jackson. Ooh, Jackson showed his inexperience there. He had 4 players outside him. Saints only had 3 markers. And he tried to beat them on his own. He's got to learn that when you've got blokes like Kenny and those fellas outside you, you just let it go. Particularly when you've got the numbers. Here he is now, young Jackson. Kenny's with him this time. He finds Kenny. Kenny finds Taylor, but the ball went forward. Parramatta's replacements go on as we watch that ball undoubtedly going forward from Kenny. The reserves come from the field. Paul Mayers and Stephen Sharp. Sharp's name firmly in the history books as the man scoring the first grade try at the new Parramatta Stadium. Jarvis. Haddock, Young. Oh, intercepted by Brett Kenny. Probably the best hands in rugby league. And he sprints away to score another Kenny intercept try. Well, John Mooney was totally baffled last Wednesday. I was talking to him about the number of times Brett Kenny put the ball down at Orana Park. He said, Ray, I can't understand it, because he said he's got the most beautiful hands in rugby league. He said he can catch the ball anywhere. So he said, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he's certainly not wrong today as he picks up that ball beautifully out of the air and scores a very nice try. Thank you.
St George doing everything wrong, but Brett Kenny's the master of the intercept. We've seen him do it many times before. He put his right hand up and pulled this one down. It seemed to be an impossible take, but he did it, and over he goes to continue this complete demoralisation of the Dragons.
Neil Hunt, the goal kicker. Kenny, the scorer of dual tries in the 81, 82, 83 grand finals. Hunt converts Kenny's first try on the new Parramatta Stadium, and the Eels lead 26-6. So, as we get this game underway again, Graham Hughes has been able to get beautiful take, Taylor. Here's Graham Hughes with Stephen Sharp.
Steve, enormous amount of drop ball in the game. Any excuses?
No excuses, really. A little bit of lapse of concentration. We went out there with one purpose, to control the ball, and we let a little bit go. But it's got better as the game's got on.
Very determined outfit. You wanted to make sure you christened the stadium with a win?
Yeah, we sure did. No, we went out with one great defensive attitude.
Of course, a great honour to have the first try of the new ground.
Yeah, I don't score too many to get the first one on the new ground's a real bonus.
And Steve, well played.
Thanks, Will.
Steve Sharp. This is Peter Ford now. Sterling. And beautifully held back for Leibina. Now it's across for Wynn, or Ford it was. Ford it was in the 21. Mosley plays it. Away it goes to Sterling. Puts the kick over the back of the St George three-quarters. They get an awful bounce.
Play on.
And Jackson will score. Jackson scores Parramatta's sixth try. Bill Anderson used the word earlier. Parramatta are continuing this demoralisation of the Dragons. I'm not so sure that that's an adequate enough word to describe it now. This was that was a terrible ball to get. But Jackson, to his credit, was there to pick up another 4 points.
St George are in complete disarray. This time it was yet again another Sterling kick. He kicked over the top. No St George players went back to help their winger, Steve Morris. He was left on his own. He got a bad bounce. Jackson socked the ball ahead. It went over the line, and all he had to do was fall on it.
Well, with the exception of the Brett Kenny try, has there been a try that Sterling hasn't been in? Of course, the Dally M's are well and truly on their way. Neil Hunt's kicked 3 from 8, but I was going to make the point, not often do the judges give a 9 out of 10 to a player. There's Bugden going on, incidentally, for Terry Leibina. But as the judge of this match, I'll tell you something, I think I'll be giving Mr. Sterling a 9. There's Hunt getting a goal from a pretty wide angle. 32-6 in favour of the Blue and Golds. It's Peter Wynn. Now Bugden. Parramatta's refrigerator. Jerd. I think somebody was giving me some statistics earlier in the day. The Saints. Oh, here's Parramatta steamrolling ahead through Peter Ford, up to the quarter, picks up young Taylor. Taylor looks for support. He finds Mr. Perpetual Motion, Mr. Price. Well, won't he lap that try up? Well, not only is it demoralising for the Saints, it's embarrassing now. Ray Price has a smile on his face. Here's the replay, the NEC replay, as Peter Ford made a great run down the sideline. He found Taylor, and then this little fullback stood long enough to find Ray Price, and he'd get a tremendous kick out of scoring this try. The 33-year-old Parramatta lock.
Some completely ineffectual defence. Ford's head down the sideline. He looked inside. He found Peter Taylor, who had done a great job of backing up. Steve Linnane was unable to hold Taylor. He got the pass onto the ever-present Price, and so the slaughter continues.
So, with that try, Parramatta is now almost certain to register their biggest win over St George. Their biggest win prior to this was 33-4 in 1983. As Hunt comes in, he's got 4 from 9. He's missed it. And so the scoreline in this match between Parramatta and Saints, 36-6 in favour of the Eels. And there's the siren in the background. Kevin Roberts has acknowledged it now. And so the first sporting event on the new Parramatta Stadium comes to its end. Probably the way a lot of people thought it had to, with Parramatta defeating St George 36-6. And look at those tries, 2 for Hunt, 1 for Sharp, Jurd, Kenny, Jackson and Price. Hunt kicked 4 goals, and for St George, an intercept try scored by Michael O'Connor, which he converted.